on that. But let me start though with thanking Meltem, because her presentation is exactly what my presentation is not. She was so kind and human in presenting her family story, which really overshadows the technical points I will try and explain in putting together a truth commission. So, Meltem, I thank you, and I am indebted to you, because you humanized a pretty inhuman presentation that I will make in a minute, now that we have the slides. So thank you so much. It actually fits in the whole, thank you. How do I write this? Is it a sign thing? Yeah, got it. It fits very well in what I am going to say today, because I will keep your expression, stories of pain should become stories of hope. And that's my motif today for you. But I will adopt everything that Meltem said, because it really reflects what Cypriots should feel about their island. And the way you talked exactly expresses me, and I hope it expresses people in this room. I would like to thank Neophytos as well for putting this together, and the team that follows, of course, chair is very important, but I really have to thank Loros for being energetically involved in setting this up. Loros, thank you very much. This is really very helpful. So I'll start with my simple presentation. I will not talk about the intercontinental conflict in 1963, but I want to stress it because people tend to forget that. I will not talk about the invasion in 1974, but I will talk about the Truth Commission because it is relevant, not because my slide says so on the 15th of October of last year, where the Greek Cypriot leader formally proposed to the Turkish Cypriot leader at dinner with the UN Secretary General for a Truth Commission, because on Monday he said it again. So we got the Greek Cypriot leader actually proposing a Truth Commission, among other things, as the way forward. So this is actually topical, and Meltem arranged all this, so Meltem knows about it, and we now have this proposition before us. Will there be a new round of negotiations? I don't know, but what I do know is that we really have to do something about the truth. What's the truth in this case? It relates to missing. The numbers are there. This exercise is primarily dealing with 2002 missing. 1,051 of them have been identified and the remains have been delivered. 951 have not. And for the ones that have been identified, families don't have the information. So the numbers are there. I prefer to talk about the missing that have been identified and the ones that are still missing, and not to break it down on Greek Cypriots or Turkish Cypriots. The numbers are there. But the issue is that really half of them have not been identified. Who is working on this? Well, the Committee of Missing Persons is working on it. It has been created in 1981 under a UN General Assembly mandate, and it has done a good job. It has done half of the job, if I may say so. But, and the but is very big, they carry out exhumations, they carry out investigations, but they do not offer any explanations as to the circumstances of death. So they will deliver you the remains and the report saying death because of 2 bullet wounds in the skull. Well, thank you very much, that's not enough. It operates with confidentiality and with immunity, and these issues must be addressed. I cannot accept confidentiality 50, or for that matter 60 years is a viable amount of time that one has to keep information confidential. I believe families are entitled to the truth, and governments have an obligation to tell the truth. We call that transitional justice. There are truth commissions all over the world. South Africa, the biggest example, and Colombia, because that relates to Cyprus. Madame Holguin was in Cyprus. She was involved in the peace process. She was involved in the Truth Commission in Colombia. can't we use that to help us out? What's the proposal? Proposal is to upgrade the Committee of Missing Persons, or perhaps set up a new structure. I am open to suggestions, but something must be done. And this something must result in a bicommunal truth commission, where people can express remorse and give evidence. We have to manage the de facto immunity that exists. We have to provide the information to the families, and we have to answer the question why 1,051 families whose loved one, the remains of their loved ones have been identified, are not fully briefed. That question must be answered. Dilemma. Truth for immunity. Is that a good deal? Do we let people who would otherwise be murderers get away with it because they tell the truth? Well, that's a false dilemma. It is a false dilemma because that has been answered since 1990, and you didn't know about it, by the Attorney Generals of both sides of the Green Line, where in a letter to the third member of the Committee of Missing Persons, Mr. Paul Wood, they actually said, I am the Attorney General. I control criminal prosecutions. I tell you that I will not prosecute anybody who gives evidence, and if there are any criminal prosecutions that have been started, I shall intervene and stop them. So since 1990 in Cyprus, whether you know it or not, immunity has been in operation. So I take the first option that we upgrade the CMP, and there are four simple legal steps. The first one is amend the terms of reference of the Committee of Missing Persons. The second is to amend the 1981 resolution of the UN General Assembly. The third one is to sort out the evidence law so that we figure out what we do with immunity. And the fourth is to set up regulations and procedures for this to be completed. Let me expand. I will not read this out, but I wanted you to see it, because there is a piece of paper called Terms of Reference. And in 2011, I sat down with our group, the Truth Now NGO, and we actually amended it. Very simply, we came up with a proposal that would make the terms of reference such that the investigation carried out by the Committee of Missing Persons or the Upgraded Truth Commission will actually be of a standard that the European Court of Human Rights demands to carry out an effective investigation. Second step, again, not very difficult. Amend the 1981 resolution of the UN General Assembly. You'll say thank you to the CMP for doing a good job. You'll say that we need to progress, promote, upgrade, and reach a truth commission. And if we pull this off, I can tell you it will be a unanimous vote in the UN General Assembly, because there will be no opposing parties. What's the third step? Well, we should amend the evidence law. There is de facto immunity since 1990. We should create a de jure immunity. That is, we should amend the evidence law. And we should say that notwithstanding anything contained in the evidence law on both sides of the Green Line, which, courtesy of the British rule, has identical provisions, having inherited them from the 1960 independence. So you just amend that, and you say that this Truth Commission will not accept any evidence any evidence given to the Truth Commission will not be accepted in any criminal, civil, or administrative court. So, de facto, you exclude the evidence, you secure the immunity. Fourth step, internal regulations, new rules of procedure. How will it function? What's the composition? What's the operation? How will it receive evidence? How will it issue decisions? How will it publish them? Any other matter that you think is appropriate. And we need expert advice. I, for one, cannot tell you how to set this up. But there are people out there, academia, practitioners, international organizations, that can tell us from a procedural point of view how to set this up. Now, what's the second option? The second option is that we have a new agreement with the leaders, and we set up a Truth Commission which is independent from the CNP. That's also a possibility. You still have to run the UN General Assembly resolution. You still have to manage immunity, with the danger that if your immunity is not grandfathered in by upgrading the existing CNP, you may run into the problem that currently international norms do not allow immunity in exchange of truth. So how are you going to manage that? And that's an issue which, of course, is very important. A set of internal regulations is exactly the same point. The choice is there. I don't have a view on it because people should decide, and I'll pause here and say that this is fantastic today, because this is the first time we are having a bi-communal discussion on a Truth Commission. So again, I thank you, Malcolm, because you made this possible. The sad thing is that we have to travel all the way to London to have a discussion when we can actually do it in Cyprus in a much warmer climate. So there you are, that's Cyprus. What's the way forward? Well, we need to look at the relatives. We need to talk about society. Relatives have a right to know. State obligation to tell. That's pretty fundamental. Civil society also has a right to know. And that's called transitional justice. It's a rubric well known all over the world, other than Cyprus. Well, what can the leaders do? Well, we had a Euro-Parliament working group that actually recognized that there was talk about having this. It was reported in 2003. We had the proposal with the Greek Cypriot leader at the informal dinner. You'll notice that this was done before Monday because we didn't know that this was going to happen. But there's now a next point on this one. Actually, I'll take away the Euro-Parliament bullet point, and I'll just say that we've had the repeat proposal by the Greek Cypriot leader on Monday to do a Truth Commission for the missing. So it's there, and one has to deal with it. Now, what's the way forward on the political process? Let me now go into the imaginary world that I want you to come with me. It's political, but I'd like you to imagine this. The objective is to get the Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe, which is the body that supervises the execution of judgments, which on the 4th until the 6th of March will be dealing with the matter of the missing. So I'd like you to imagine that the Greek Cypriot leader has accepted and proposed the setting up of a Truth Commission. So number one's done. Let's look at number two. Number two is the Turkish Cypriot leader has not rejected it. Not saying no in diplomatic circles is one hell of a way forward. So Turkish Cypriot leader has not rejected it. So point two is covered. Now this becomes very interesting. The Cyprus government, as a third step, could accept a payment of 30 million euro, which is the amount that Turkey has to pay as compensation for the missing as a result of the fourth interstate application. The Cyprus government can accept to have that payment being made into an escrow account. And that escrow account will be the Committee of Ministers or the Council of Europe. The reason Turkey is not paying the 30 million is because it doesn't recognize the government of the Republic of Cyprus. I'm not going to touch that. Let them continue their position. But we are having a mechanism whereby they pay into an escrow agent, a third party, and this has happened before in Strasbourg, very often actually, where the money will be paid and the issues of recognition will be preserved, and each side will not move an inch from the principal position that they have, whatever that may be. So you can do that. Now, Turkey affects the payment to the Council of Europe, and then the Republic of Cyprus takes another move. The Republic of Cyprus makes an ex gratia, without admitting liability is the translation, payment of 10 million to the 492 families of the Turkish Cypriot missing, which are absent from the fourth interstate application. And they pay the 10 million, which is on exactly the same rate, 20,000 euro per family, so that these people may get some compensation. And of course, 20,000 euros doesn't bring your loved one back. Nothing will bring the person back. But at least you are acknowledged, you are receiving some compensation, and perhaps, just perhaps, the healing process may start. But Cyprus will put one more condition on this payment of 10 million, and that condition is that Turkey pays the remaining 60 million that they owe under the fourth interstate application in relation to the enclave. So if that happens as well, so Turkey and Cyprus effect the payments to the Council of Europe as an escrow agent, we've dealt with the monetary part of the fourth interstate, and we are now dealing with the general measures that have to be put in place, namely the establishment of a Truth Commission in cooperation with the United Nations and with the funding of the European Union. And guess what? This will be the blueprint for the Council of Europe to use in other conflict areas. Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Russia, Ukraine, Russia. All these cases are interstate cases before the European Court of Human Rights, where judgments have or will be issued against the state that did the wrong. What's wrong with creating a mechanism whereby after adjudication, one of the steps that have to be taken, because there's been death, there's been torture, there's been rape, there's been missing, why is it wrong to set up this blueprint with Cyprus and Turkey as an example in order to move forward? So, my proposal to you, give truth a chance, as John Lennon could be paraphrased as. And I want to make a comment on my full character on the left, because I find the idol from Pomos a very interesting one. It has a picture of a missing being held by this idol, and I think that